Hello, everybody. I'm Cesar, and what I'm proposing today is that we see that cell phones have become a part of our lives, even to the point where pretty much a majority of us have a cell phone where most of us have actually installed social media such as Instagram, apps, or Facebook. And my big proposition is that we may have too much of technology, such as addiction, or even just too reliant on it most of the time. It's even estimated that at least 90% of Americans are at least have suffered from cell phone addiction throughout their lives. I'm not saying that it shouldn't be banned outright, though. It should just be monitored or at least regulated. Everyone should know that we have a limit on it. It even stated that at least 210 million people at least suffer from the same addiction worldwide, even to the point where we would even consider even nanophobia is considered, though whether or not it's actually considered to be treated as an actual disorder is still up for debate. Though to define it, nanophobia is the fear of being separated from your cell phones for certain periods of time. When my three main points would have to be how is it affecting us, how it affecting our both mental health and physical health, and the third one could be the benefits of actually reducing our use could be beneficial. Our first point would have to be that Morgan Hampton, who wrote an article on technology is making kids antisocial, suggested that 75% of children actually continue to use a cell phone and mostly use texting as a way of communication instead of face-to-face interactions. As even the idea that is known to actually cause mental health problems such as depression, sleep deprivation, and stress, and emotional instability. Even physical symptoms include back pain, vision problems, carpal tunnel syndrome, and even stress when I'm sorry guys,
Do you want to use your outline?
No, it's fine.
Okay. You look like you're a little lost, that's all.
No, I'm just not exactly used to stage fright, that's it.
Sorry to interrupt.
It's alright. Even such a social anxiety, whereas we would perceive ourselves as how we want to view ourselves of what should be popular or what kind of trends should be allowed, considering that it even affects our self-esteem possibly. As for what can we do to reduce it, what are the benefits actually? Even in a research article conducted by Irene Michaels stated that not only is it good, it actually disconnecting from your cell phone once in a while could be beneficial for both mental, physical, and social and environmental health along with that. Even turning off the cell phone once in a while could be a refresher for all of us, so considering that we would need to at least recharge mentally and emotionally once in a while. Not only that, but disconnecting from our cell phones could actually be beneficial as it improves your relationship with increased social interactions, like face-to-face interactions, instead of relying on cell phone to do so. In closing, we see that cell phones are everywhere, but we should know that we have a limitation when it comes to both physical and mental health, and maybe we should just consider that once in a while. Thank you.
Well, the proposition is kind of identified. I don't think it's very clearly stated, and I get the general idea that there's criticism of our over-reliance on technology, but I think the phrasing of your proposition is a little bit problematic. The secondary claims in the preview, when you present them, they're not really phrased as claims. The third one is phrased a little bit like a claim, but the first two are just informational signposts, and they don't really make any particular inference. In the body of the speech, I didn't think you signposted those secondary points as clearly as they needed to be. When you did get to the point about what we can do to fix this, that's really your third point, and so you've abandoned the one claim that was phrased as a declarative sentence in the preview, and you've turned it into a kind of informative expository claim here in the body of the speech, and that's a little bit problematic from a language point of view. So there's some language issues in the presentation. Content-wise, there's a bunch of data that you have at the beginning that I think you need to give us some sources on. I mean, the idea that 90% of people are going to be freaking out at some point because they are dependent on their cell phones or worried about being separated from it, that seems, I would believe in some categories of people that might be the case, or that 90% would be concerned about not having access to it, but the degree of harm there seems a little high, and I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying I'd be more convinced if there was some source that told me where they came up with this. If it was a survey of people, which it sounds like it is, then you should tell us who conducted the survey. And then there were a couple of other places where you're citing authorities. Well, you're citing authors. You don't necessarily tell us what their authority is, and I thought that was a little bit of a problem. So there are people who are writing on this subject, which is not a bad thing, but I don't know where they are writing, and I don't know what their authority is in writing about these things. If they are people who have conducted some specific research, I think that would be helpful to have in the argument to build some credibility for your argument. There are some okay examples. There's some nice statistical information at the beginning of the speech. I think the strongest things that you have in terms of evidence are the factual data. And then on presentation issues, you struggled a little bit. I thought it was kind of a memory thing, but you say it's really just a kind of an anxiety thing, and you handled it reasonably well. I don't think you have anything to be nervous about. It's just us. We hardly bite at all. So you're doing fine. Like I said, it looked to me like you were looking for information on the card, and I thought, it's probably just hard to recall some of the information because you aren't quoting things directly, you're paraphrasing them a lot, and sometimes the quotes would probably help make the argument a little bit clearer. All right, thank you.